new Datacron set just dropped as of today, and there's something that, quite frankly, we need to be mentally prepared for. So first off, we have the good news, which is dodge is not coming back. We've theorized for a long time that eventually CG will be like, it's coming. We even had accuracy last season, and then all of a sudden the current set hits that'll be farmable here in a week or so, and there is no dodge. So round of applause there. Very cool, awesome, great. That being said, and I'm not trying to be doom and gloomy or like negative, like CG is the worst or whatever, but there is something that we need to address right away and start thinking of pretty much solutions to a problem that is already going to be existing for at least the next 2 months. And that is, we are going to be entering a timeout season, or really 2 seasons, because how they're kind of breaking down the stats is we have huge percentages of defense. Like, that is just insane. Max percentage of defense, 100% per hit towards the last levels. And one of the reasons why this is important now and hasn't been important for a little bit is because in the last time we got like armor penetration or resistance penetration along with the armor and resistance. So while that's the last set, kind of presented a problem, it also presented a solution at the same time. This one does not. This is just a lot of defense. Granted, there is offense as well as crit damage here, but if we really understand the inner workings of how defense works, it mitigates so much more than any really offense or crit damage can do. To any way to really kill the armor or defense or whatever it is, we need to have armor penetration. We need to have defense penetration. We need to have resistance penetration. Without those, the effects of crit damage or extra offense can be extremely dwindling. And on top of that, and this is really where it's going to get really gross, both for the dark side level 3 and the light side level 3, at the start of the encounter, allies gain 15% max health and max protection for each other dark side or light side ally. So quick clarification, whenever the game says each other ally, that's code or whatever for every ally that isn't itself. So sometimes for every ally, like Darth Vader's kit will say this, for example, where he'll gain 8 speed for every Sith and Empire ally, that includes himself. This does not include yourself. So as long as you're using an entire faction of light side and dark side, which is the majority, by the way, like most factions work that way. There are exceptions with Mandalorians or Jabba, or I guess bounty hunters, but most of them work that way. That's going to be 60? Yeah, 60% max health and protection. I'm just imagining this straight up on a JML or really a JMK team. A 60% boosted cat. That is going to be really stinking hard to get through before even factoring in all the defense or even just max health that can be put on the character in general. I guess the defense isn't that big. Well, it depends on the counter. But yeah, so we're approaching what I'm gonna label it now. It's gonna be a timeout season. There have been historically a few specific teams that naturally have really high defense or really high recovery or are immune to things like healing immunity and shock, but this is going to make so many other teams kind of fit that category. So yes, I want to address this so we can, I guess, start to mentally process it or something like that. But in addition to that, I think we cannot be 100% doom and gloom and start looking at real options on offense we can use that have workarounds. And I know, I don't think this is going to just make this season a breeze, these workarounds, but at least we'll have tools in our pocket of maybe teams that we can pull from defense to offense, or maybe we've already been using on offense, that'll be able to help us out. And as you guys, the wonderful community in the comments section, you can let me know what other teams are there that kind of just don't care when the team has 200% defense and 60% health protection on top of that. So with that being said, we have some ideas here taking down the post. Bad Batch. Bad Batch has always been really super effective against teams that have boosted health and protection, as well as have really high defense because of how Echo's mechanics work. If we go into his kit, he has this really neat ability where whenever a clone trooper ally gains or loses a buff from a Bad Batch ally's ability, they recover health and protection. Good survivability, a little irrelevant for what we're talking about. Down here, this is where it's important. Whenever a Bad Batch ally inflicts a debuff on an enemy, that enemy loses 8% protection. So there we go, that boosted protection. Not only do we not really care, but it's actually almost working against our opponents. And if that enemy had less than 50% protection, and more than 50% health, they also lose 8% health. So we're going straight for percent health and protection damage. So not only do their thresholds being higher not matter because our damage is going to increase, but on top of that, they're also just going to be, we're going to be bypassing their defense. So yeah, this is overall a really great ability that has been like super useful even outside of really big timeout teams like that. But it's something that's going to help. Not to mention the Bad Batch squad as a whole. Not every member has them, but a lot of the team does have exposed damage. Exposed is max health for those who are unaware. It also has other effects within the Bad Batch faction, but that's kind of irrelevant right now. And that'll help. Again, you're ignoring defense and you're using the boosted health stats they have against them. So whatever team out there that wasn't necessarily a timeout team before that Bad Batch could already beat, they're just not going to have issues with it. It's going to be like it's not even there. And that's like one of the best things you can really hear. So next up, and this is like, I don't really love this because it's pointless to really talk about this team right now, because everybody's going to put it on defense. This is going to be one of those teams that just really excels. Even like Kersantin and Jabba with 45% health and protection, that's going to be super annoying. Any amount of armor, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun to beat. But if for whatever reason you're like a really heavy efficiency player, you don't have a ton of GLs, Jabba's one of them, thermal damage is great. Again, it's max health damage. Boosh can get out a ridiculous amount. And on top of that, our good friend Jabba here has Annihilate. For those of you who weren't unaware, which, you know, all three of you, the Rancor eats people. So regardless of whether or not you actually get to using those thermals, let's say they have a bunch of tenacity and you can't get a lot on them, eventually you can just eat them. And then whatever amount of health and protection or defense they had, doesn't matter. It didn't matter at all because they are Rancor food, and that is just completely fantastic. So they should be able to do more things. I mean, Jabba's just a great team in general. To suggest that he's now just going to shine in this, it would be a very dumb idea, so we're totally not doing that. Next up, this will be a fun team, and I think I didn't want to make this all about like all the Galactic Legends, because a lot of the Galactic Legends have true damage, JML, Rey, but Lord Vader has dots, so that's very cool for him. But on top of that, the Maul team, it might be, for those of you out here, it might be worth looking into splitting the teams, because Maul himself, through his Seething Rage ability, deals true damage, and for those of you who aren't aware, true damage ignores defense, armor, resistance, whatever, doesn't matter. Completely ignores it, not a big deal. He just rushes them and kills them. And on top of that, our good friend Candrace here, he is going to apply dots, as we've previously kind of mentioned in regards to thermals. This is max health damage. This is a way to bypass people's defense and really use whatever boosted stat like max health they have against them. It's not going to be overall that effective, or more effective than it was, because they also get bonus protection, or extra max protection. They don't get bonus protection. That's something else. On top of that, so it's going to be just as useful as it was before. But again, teams that were going to be super timeout teams before, this is going to have a little bit more effective against them because of those things that are within their nature. The Admiral Raddus team has, again, a very similar effect, except for he gets to actually use Explosive. And this actually might be one of the best teams this next season, despite not having an actual faction. Because how the team works, they do have a lot of exposes. That's, again, max health damage, defense, don't care, whatever. But on top of that, our good friend Admiral Raddus, he has an ability, is it Hope in here? Yeah, where he, as long as he can survive to hit 100% upload progress, which that's really the big challenge, is getting him to last that long. But now, if the team's going to have 60% extra health and protection, I just realized I said Jabba's wrong because it's every other character, so it's 30. Anyways, when we look at this, he's going to be able to survive longer. So as long as the AI continues to be stupid, at least to some extent, and he can get to this, I mean, healing immunity and protection disruption, I don't care how much extra protection they have, it's disrupted, it's gone. You can just continue to beat the tar out of the team. And then with, again, exposes on top of that, being able to tear their max health down. This is a really good one that'll be able to help set things up. Next up is going to be the Padme team. I really like this one. It's going to be a little bit hard to justify tearing so many of these characters away from either Qui-Gon or JMK, but Qui-Gon is one that's really going to struggle. Jedi Anakin relies pretty heavily on defense not screwing it, because how the team works is you get so much raw offense from Qui-Gon Jinn's lead in GAC that you really, the only way to make that any more impactful is to add armor penetration or crit damage. If they have a bunch of defense, Qui-Gon Jinn is going to do very, very, very poorly this season. So Padme doesn't really care. She does this cool thing called Courage that again deals, you named it, say it with me, max health damage. On top of that, and you can use Mace separately, but Mace also with his, I don't remember where it is, Vapod, one of his abilities, he is going to continually decrease his enemies, I think it's defense and max protection. Yeah, Shatter Point. Receiving damage to spell Shatter Point reduces defense, max health, and offense by 10%. So we can just break down enemies. This has been a very useful tool against Malgus as of recently. I guess Asajj Ventress actually has a similar thing to this where she can just keep reducing the max health and defense to be able to take them down. And then for like the most accessible team out there, I'm sure everyone watching has this team fully built, Relic, Omicron, unlocked, etc. Reva's GAC Omicron allows Deathmark whenever they cleanse, and Deathmark not only does it let you target them, as well as prevent revives, but they also like take 50% max health damage every hit. So it's going to make things a lot easier to kill. Again, having that boosted max health, they're not really going to care. And then again, max health damage is going to really ruin the amount of defense they have on top of it. So again, hopefully we're doing this to kind of spread awareness, although that's a really weird way to word it, so that we can start mentally processing what these next few seasons are going to look like, or if you want to take them off, power to you. But just know there are solutions outside of this that can help take down squads that might just become impossible otherwise. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, stay awesome.